Hello everyone. In this video, we're gonna learn how to divide using the three different way. Now the first way is this way, using the place value that we learned at the first. Then we learned two new methods or ways to divide using the distributive property. One of them is using this model that we call it area model, and the other one is also using the same or a close way to the first one, but using the partial quotient. So let's see how can we divide 426 using the three different methods. Now let's start with the first method. We start this method, or we can say at the first, that 426 divided by 2 equals what? Now, the first number we call it the dividend. We take it and we put it inside like that. And the second number we call it the divisor. We take it and we put it here outside. And then we start the division process. How? Step 1. We only take the first number. Now, if the first number is bigger than the divisor, and of course here the 4 is bigger than the 2, then yes, you are ready to start. If not, if for example, the first number was, for example, 1 and it is smaller than the 2, we take it and we take the number next to it. But in our case, we have only the 4 and the 4 is bigger than the 2, so yes, we are ready to start. Now what do I do with this 4? I need to start looking for it, searching for it in the times table of the divisor. How? Let's see how. Now 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So here we are, we found it. We found the 4 that we were looking for it. So we will take it and we will write it down of the other form. And the hero, who is the hero? The number that gives us this 4 is what? Is 2. So we write it up here. And now we subtract. So 4 minus 4 is 0. Now this number, the 2, I didn't use it, so I'll bring it down. And also the 6. So here I have a 26. Now we're gonna do the method one more time until we finish, and here we get zeros. So let's see how. Now I will take the first number again, which is what? Which is the 2. Is it equal or bigger than to the divisor, which is the 2? Yes, it's equal to it. And I can find it from 1 times 2 equals 2. So here it is. I have the 2. I will take it. I will write it down. And the hero that gives us this 2 is the 1. So I will take it and we will write it up here, and then we subtract. So 2 minus 2 is 0. And we will bring this 6 down because we didn't use it yet. Now one more time we will do the steps. We have a 6 here. Let's see how can we find it. We're gonna find a number that looks like the 6. So here, or actually we should highlight it with the yellow. We're gonna look for the 6. Let's continue. 3 times 2 is 6. So here we are. We found it. Here is the 6 that we are looking for it. We will take it and we will write it down here. And the hero that gives us this 6 is what? Is the 3. So we will write it up here, and now we subtract. So 6 minus 6 equals 0. So this is the answer for the division problem. 426 divided by 2 equals 213. So now let's take the same numbers and try to divide them using the distributive property. What do we do with the distributive property? We take the number, we divide it to its component. What are the components? Like the parts. For example, here, this number in the tens, but in the 100 parts, we have 4. So this is 400. Plus, in the tens part, we have 2. So this is a 20. Plus, in the ones part, we have a 6. So this is a 6. So this is how we divide the numbers to its components. Like we write the number in the expand form that we learned before. Now let's take these splitted numbers and put them in the model here. So the biggest part is for the 100, so 400. And then the second part is for the tens, here's the 20. And the smallest part is for the ones, which is the 6. All need to be divided over the number 2. So I will take this 2, I will write it here in this side, 2. And now let's start to divide. What do? We take each part of these numbers and we divide them over the number 2. So let's take the first part, 400. 400 divided by 2. We know that 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then we bring the 2 zeros. So 200 plus 20 divided by 2. We take the first number, the 2, divided by 2 equals 1. And then we bring the 0 down. Plus 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So now we need to add all of these parts. We call them partial quotient, because quotient means the answer for the division problem. So here is 3 answers, so we need to add them together. So the answer would be 213. So this is the answer for the division problem, and as we can see, 213 is equal to the answer here. Now let's try to do it also in the distributive property, but in the other method that we learned in the class. How? We're going to start with the same method that we took before. What is it? By highlighting the first number and start looking for it. So let's start looking for the 4. 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So here we are, we found it. Here's the 4, we found it. Now I add 2 zeros here to hold the place. I call them placeholder zeros. So I just add them. So if there is this 0 or not, we always subtract and we bring the numbers down, so it's like subtracting out of 0. So this is why we add these 2 zeros. Now I need to put a line here and look for the hero. Don't forget the hero, which is what? Which is the 2. But now I will not write the hero up here. No, I will write it on the side here, 2. And because I added 2 zeros, then I will add also these 2 zeros next to the hero. Now I subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6, 2 minus 0 is 2, and 4 minus 4 is 0. Now one more time, we're gonna start looking for the first number, which is the 2. And here you are, we found it, so we write it here. And don't forget to write the placeholder 0 next to it. Now don't forget the hero also. The hero this time was the 1, so I will write it here next to this line. And because I added just a 1 0, I will add it next to the hero, so it's a 10. Then we subtract. So 6 minus 0 is 6, and then 2 minus 2 is just 0. Now let's look for the 6 one more time. 3 times 2 is 6, so here we are, we found it. We take it, we write it here. And the number that gives us this 6, the hero, is the 3. And there is no need to add any zeros because we don't have any place to hold. So subtract 6 minus 6 is 0. Now these 3 numbers that we have on the side, we call them the partial quotient. So we need to add all of them. So 200 plus 10 plus 3 equals 213. And this is the answer for the division problem, and it is the same answer that we took before, or we found before.